All right, so I've had this Dometic fridge for about 8 months now. I thought it'd be about time to give some pretty honest thoughts on how it's going after using it for, well, using it quite extensively over quite a lot of trips. The video you're gonna see today, I actually took it 2 months into owning the fridge. I wasn't completely satisfied that my thoughts were fully sound at that point, but since then, I don't think I've really developed any different thoughts. So we're running with that, but I'm just doing an intro now just to point out that this is current. So I'm basically editing this video and putting it out this week. So we're gonna get right into talking about this. Right, I've had this Dometic fridge for about 2 months now. If you haven't seen the previous videos that I've done, I'm comparing this to a King's 40 litre fridge that I had in the past. I haven't had any Engels or anything like that, so that's the main comparison and experience that I've had. Been on a couple of trips. I've just come back from one today, so I've put it through its paces, and I'm gonna talk about the negatives and the positives. Things I do like, things I don't like. Start with some negatives, and then we'll talk about what I like about it. This is a bit picky, but I don't really like the lid cover, even though it is separated and the build quality of the cover on the fridge does feel quite good. The lid feels flimsy. It's got this clip set up and it just doesn't feel as perfect as I want it to be. The next negative is the height of the fridge, but this also comes with the depth. So you can fit a lot more in there, but the fact that it's quite high. Previous fridge that I had, I could sometimes open it within there. I didn't have to pull it out. But another really important thing is when I'm done using the fridge for the weekend, I want to air it out, not let moisture and mold and stuff grow in there. I actually have to pull it out and have my doors open. The lids on these are actually easily removable, but this is more of a fault of my slide car, the whole combination of that. I can't actually remove the lid without taking this whole fridge out. This is more of a problem of the size of the fridge and, as I said, the setup of my car, but that is a frustration that I didn't necessarily experience with my smaller King's fridge. Again, this is something more to do with the setup of the car than the actual fridge, so it's not necessarily fair to say that this is a fault of it, but I can't leave this lid open. Can't leave it there without that falling out. I've got the fridge over here as far as I possibly can. And again, this probably has a lot more to do with the drawer than the fridge itself. That door can go further back, but it can't because of my door. So every time I have that open, it falls down. And it's a real pain if you're trying to get multiple things out. That's about it for the negatives. There's not much that I don't like about this fridge. I'm quite enjoying it. Having the extra capacity is a lot better. So I'll talk about the things that I actually really do like about them that may not be immediately obvious if you're looking at purchasing one of these. So as I said, this is a CFX3 and it's the 55IM model. So I'm talking in relation to the CFX3 models, but there is a CFX5. The supposed improvement on those is better sealed insulation. So it's meant to be able to get cool and stay cool longer and presumably consume less energy. But honestly, I haven't really seen a need for that in this one. It goes pretty well. So positives. The width of this fridge is perfect for cans. The previous 40 litre fridge that I had, you'd try and fit cans in there. You'd get maybe 4 across and then you had half a space for half another can. It didn't make sense. You'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 stack. But this one, perfect width for 5 cans. So you're not wasting space when you're putting things in there. You can go 5, 5, 5, stack it as high as you want. That puts me onto the depth of the fridge. So 5 cans across, I can fill this bad boy all the way up. We had 2 10-packs of hard fizz drinks stacked on their side in there, packs of Zupa Dupas at the very bottom, and then I had about 5 or 10 cans on top of that. So that's in just one half of the divider that's within there. So the capacity, 55 litres, you can very efficiently stack things in there, and we fit a lot in this fridge. That leads me onto the divider in this. So one of the biggest reasons I really wanted this fridge was just that there's a divider in the basket. Now, this would be an absolutely simple thing for Kings or any other brand to include, so it's not necessarily an exclusively Dometic feature, but it is something that I really like. So you can set up, you're taking your alcohol, you set it up in one half of this divider, you set up your food in there. You're not having to constantly stack things on top of each other, or if you need to get an ingredient for your meal, you're not having to reach past 20 tins or whatever that you got in there. You can keep it separated and it's not all gonna fall on top of each other. Speaking more on the basket, there's a main basket in this fridge, but then there's also a basket included for the top deck. So just above where the motor compressor goes, and also just above where the ice makers go in this fridge, there's a small little basket. Cheaper fridges don't necessarily come with that. They just kind of leave that area bare. You can still stack things in there. It doesn't restrict you from that. But I think just having that extra basket is just a better little feature. You can go load up everything from your fridge inside before you bring it into here, carry it that way. Just makes things a lot easier. We were chatting about this fridge last night with a couple of mates. So I've got other mates that have got the same fridge, and something that was mentioned was one of the great things about this is it actually has a drain plug in the bottom of the fridge. Now the Kings ones have those as well. My 40 litre had it. I believe a bunch of others should have it. So it's not a crazy feature by any means, but if you're cleaning the fridge out, you pull it out entirely, you can clean it out thoroughly and then just rinse it out. Just makes it a world of difference. The cover on this is a huge positive for me. The previous Kings one, you might have seen in my other videos, it was basic, but it faded really quickly. It was actually the first thing to fail. It ended up, the zip ripped and it had just deteriorated to a point where it wasn't really usable anymore. This one seems really quality. It's like a hard shell cover. And the other thing I love is that it's actually separated. The lid and the base are two separate parts. So you don't have to unclip, unzip, do any kind of detachment to open your lid. You just open the lid, close it, and it works. The 40 litre, as you would have seen, you have to unzip that or leave it unzipped each time you want to open up. So it's a cheaper, more frustrating setup. Just a nice little extra thing that comes with the cover. You got a little side pocket there. Extra storage in a 4-wheel drive is a great thing, no matter where it is. So little tiny pocket there. You can use it for just about anything. You put your knives and forks in there if you want. Just having that little bit of extra usable space, I think, is worth its weight in gold. Digital adjustment on this, huge. Most new fridges you'll buy these days have a digital adjustment, but the thing I really like about this is that Dometic actually have an app, so you can control this through your phone. I had to turn this on the other day before I went to go do my shop for our weekend of camping. Sit on the couch, flick the app open, turn it on, didn't have to do anything, let it cool down before I go out to Coles. The app's controlled by Bluetooth, so any smartphone, you should be able to download the app and control it. It's basic, but awesome. These feel really efficient on energy. I haven't had any issues with this whatsoever. I've got a solar panel. I've got an AGM battery as my secondary battery. I don't have any crazy setup. Doesn't feel like it drains a lot of power. There is the ice maker option in there, which I believe chews through the power. So if you want to be conservative, leave the ice maker off. Other than that, it really doesn't tear through the power nearly as much. The CFX 5 fridges, so this is a CFX 3. The 5, the newer versions, I'm told are more efficient because of their insulation, as I mentioned earlier. I can't see any reason why I would say that this isn't good enough. This is perfect. This is all you need. So touching on the ice maker, this is an absolutely fantastic thing to have while camping, especially if you're taking partners away, kids or whatever. You can pull some ice out. You can put it in, drinks, coffees. If you're on the beach, having a couple of margies, perfect thing to pull out instead of having to pull it out of a watery esky. I really like being able to pull ice out of this fridge, and it's awesome. Last little thing that I'll say I really like is the handles on these. These are sturdy things. That's what I use to tie this down, and it holds it on pretty well. Previously, the Kings had little tiny hooks, which they were fine, but if I need to take this fridge out, I have every confidence in those handles. Last thing I actually wanted to chat about on this is there's actually a battery protection setting, but this is a great thing if you're running your fridge directly from your starter battery for your car. It means that if you've set it to the right protection level, it will turn the fridge off before it drains your battery fully. So you're not going to get left stranded on the side of the road. There's various levels. There's a high, medium, low, and Dometic actually recommends if you're running this fridge off a dual secondary accessory battery to run on the low setting, but it is still great. For instance, after this weekend, I think I'm probably due for a new secondary battery. I've had it for a couple of years, but it's nice to know that that setting's there, that potentially it might stop me from depleting that battery fully if I still needed it to power other things. But of course, if the fridge is the most important thing that I want to power, turn that battery protection off, and then you don't need to worry about it at all. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on this. It's not entirely comprehensive. I really didn't go too hard on the negatives, but I seriously actually thought about this as much as I could. I can't really think of much that I hate about this, but there's a lot of positives about this fridge that I really like. And there's some great other brands out there. Engel, Brass Monkey, people rate them very well, but Dometic's fantastic. They've got a great name. This came with a 3-year warranty. I have every confidence it's going to last me at least that long. And I'm looking forward to using this on many more trips. So if you're wanting to buy one of these fridges as well, and there's things you need to know about it, put a comment down. If I don't know it, someone might comment and let you know. Maybe outlining a couple of positives has helped your decision. Hopefully some of the negatives haven't swayed you, but maybe it saved you some money if you decide against it. So, righto, cheers.